They don't know my story, they just know my sound.
Is the key to being successful in any business is making the decision and sticking with it.
I feel like I was pushed on purpose.
And I feel like I was in the birthing room.
Every single one of you have faced things in your life, have overcome things, and because of that, you have a responsibility to share your message with the world. And you have a responsibility to take those lessons that you learned and use it to help other people.
Hello, I am super excited to be recording another episode of the Birthing Experience where we help coaches birth their mastery. So my name is Nyala. I am your host, known as the Master Midwife for Coaches, and I help them prep, plan, push, and produce their mastery. So here at the Birthing Experience, we bring you content to help you master your mindset, your marketing, your messaging, and your money. And today we're going to be talking about 5 ways to discover your genius, okay? So one of the things I am completely an expert at is being able to develop coaches, being able to help them find their genius zone, create signature systems from their expertise, package it up in irresistible offers, and get out there and market their business, right? And over the next few episodes, I'm going to be talking to you guys about how to start or fix your coaching business. Okay. So when I say start, I mean you may be someone who's been listening to me for a while, or maybe you're new, but the title spoke to you, and you want to start a coaching business. You have a story, you have skills, you want to help people. You've been seeing other coaches online. You've probably been in the crews and in the groups, and you really, really want to get started. You have ideas, but you don't know how to actually start your coaching business. Then you're going to be so excited with the next couple of episodes, because we're going to be talking about that. And when it comes to fixing, it's really all about that coach who's been out there overworking, putting in a lot of time, but you are not generating the amount of money you want to make. You are not making true impact in the way that you want to. And it's probably because you don't have a solid foundation in your coaching business. So you would be a good person to keep listening over the next few weeks, because again, we're going to be talking about how to start or fix your coaching business. All right. Now, step 1 in starting or fixing your coaching business is really being able to zone in or hone in on your unique genius. Okay. And that's step 1. All right. Honing in on your unique genius. And that's what we're going to talk about today. 5 ways to discover your genius. If you have not yet shared this episode out, definitely take a moment to share this out. Share this out. Okay. All right. So number one is start with your results. Okay. So I want you to take a moment. You can open up a piece of paper, however you want to do this, and just reflect on how many times you've helped someone. I'm going to give you an example. I've always been the friend that anybody can call and they consider me the person that will always have the answers, right? So for example, every single friend I know of has reached out to me before when it comes to financial aid, okay? Filling out FAFSA files, knowing what tax documents need to get sent in. I've been the person that my friends would always come to, and family, asking for help or advice in these areas, right? So if I wanted to become a coach, if I was in that position, or I was fixing my coaching business and I wanted to hone in on my unique zone, that could be something that I can write down that I'm really good at, okay? Somebody who can coach you through your FAFSA journey, right? So maybe I can, coach recent college graduates, recent high school graduates on how to go through their FAFSA, journey to get started in college, whatever, right? This is what I mean when I say I want you to start looking at your results. Start with your results, things that you have done already. And the reason why I'm saying this is because a lot of times, we're so good at something, so it comes so easy to us that we don't even realize that that is our genius, right? So start with your results, right? And then once you figure out from all the things that you're really good at that you've helped people do, whether you were paid or not, think about the action it took for you to actually accomplish that, okay? So like, for example, one of the things that I do, like I explained when we first started, is I really help my coaches, hone in on their genius zone. And the way I'm able to do that and the steps that I follow is, they're the same steps that I took, okay? So for me to find my genius zone, there were specific steps. So now I'm able, to take my clients through the same frameworks that help them hone in on their genius zone. Get it? So first you want to think about your results and really take a mental note. I rather write things down where I can really look at it, but really write a list of things that you're really good at, that you've been able to do and you've been able to see results in, whether it's for yourself or someone else. And then once you find, have that list, then what were the steps that you took to accomplish that? Okay, so that's number one. Number two is really ask people around you. This one can be the one that we look over the most, but one that is the easiest thing to do, So you have a lot of talents, and there are people that are in your life right now that if you were to ask them, well, after being in my life for so long, what do you think I'm good at? They'll be able to tell you, and they'll also be able to tell you why they think that, you're good at it. So a lot of times, again, people see things in us that we have not yet realized yet. Okay. So I know that when I was younger, a lot of the adults in my life always used to say how good I was. That my mom used to say, you should be a lawyer. The teachers used to say, how I'm a leader, although I didn't see that. Right. And it's many times that now in my journey, I reflect back and I'm like, wow, it's a long time ago that people were telling me I was going to be a speaker. It was a long time ago that people were telling me, wow, you're a good leader. Wow. And I did not recognize that yet. Right. So a lot of times there are things about us that we're so good at it. We do it so well and we don't yet know it yet. And this is why asking others is a great way to really discover your genius, okay? Now, before we go to step 3, if you're now coming in, definitely take a moment to share this out. Again, if you're listening on our podcast network, definitely subscribe to our podcast, leave a comment below, share this out with someone, right? I want you to understand why it's important to find this genius before we move on to step 3, okay? So, or number 3, because I'm giving you guys 5 ways. Now, it's really important to find your genius because this right here is the foundation of your coaching business, right? When you find your genius, and if another word for that is just really finding your specialty, you're now able to do the next step, which is finding those clients that suffer with the problems that you solve. You know what I mean? And if you don't know your specialty, then how do you know what problems you solve, right? So understanding your genius is important. And the reason why I call it a genius is because, there are many things that we're good at, but you want to find that special thing, that special thing. For me, it's really helping people master their message, okay? Helping people master their message. And because of that, that's my foundation, right? That's the first thing that I do with my clients. That's, what I am building a brand to be known for, right? So I need you guys to understand the importance of finding your genius. Another thing is when you find your genius, you can stand in confidence charging higher prices for your services. okay? Because now you're not just an ordinary coach, right? But you are a specialty. You know, and one of the things that you have to understand is that when people are searching for, you know, someone to help them solve a problem or accomplish something, for the most part, they're looking for someone that specializes in them, okay, that specializes in them, okay? So I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. Right now, I'm in the process of hiring new team members. And one of the things that I want to do in my business is I changed my webinar platform, and I'm getting ready to set up new automated systems in that platform, in the software. And I want to find a tech person that specifically works in that software and that works with coaches, okay? And the reason why is because our automated systems are way different than someone that sells products, network marketing, e-commerce, right? So we're, you know, us coaches, we are in our own world here, okay? So I want someone who not only knows the platform, but knows how to set up these systems for coaches, because that means they will be able to understand my specific situation, okay? So I'm explaining that to you because I need you to understand that that's how your clients is also out there searching for help. So if you are not going to step into that specialty and that genius that you have, you're going to continue to struggle attracting the clients who really need you, okay? So recap before we go on to 3. The first thing is start with your results, right? Where have you been able to help someone or help yourself, and what have you been able to accomplish? And when you find that, what were the steps? You know, what was the action that you took to do that? You know, number 2 is ask people, right? So ask other people, because we know that other people see things in us that we don't often see. And, you know, being able to hear from them why they think that we are a genius at that is priceless, okay? So let's move on to step 3. Another way to find your genius is really just following your inner voice, following your heart, right? So as humans, we are emotionally driven, okay? We are just emotionally driven, and you know, our instinct is what drives our actions, okay? So you know, if we feel fearful, our actions automatically respond to that. When we feel happy, our actions automatically respond to that. So our inner self actually controls a lot of our outer action. So really just follow your inner heart. What is your heart telling you you should be doing? Okay, and this one is big. You know, we should be heart-centered entrepreneurs, because when you're truly following what your purpose is and what you really should be doing and who you really should help, it comes easier to you, right? You can withstand more of the losses because you love what you're doing and who you're doing it for. And a lot of times our inner voice is telling us this is what we should be doing, but because it doesn't fit in the, you know, norm, or, you know, because there's some sort of fear of what people are going to think or how they're going to react, we automatically change. You know, we try to talk ourselves out of it and then do the more comfortable option, right? So now I want to encourage you guys that another way for you to find your genius is by following your heart, okay? And number 4 is tapping into your growth zone. Okay, so what I mean by this is you may be someone who is very creative, right? So when you come up with ideas, it's like, boom, you can just create, you know the colors, you can imagine what it should look like, what it should sound like, and you're great at that. And maybe you're too much, you know, maybe you're not an analytical person, right? Maybe that's not your thing. Well, let me tell you something. Sometimes when you tap into the place that is your growth zone, that is going to stretch you, that is going to make you a little uncomfortable there, that is when you start to experience true growth, and you can find things that you are a genius at that you didn't even know, okay? So sometimes another way is really just tapping into that zone that's going to get you uncomfortable and stretch, okay? Really think about that, all right? So Number five. Number five is stay in action. Stay in action. And this one is really big because sometimes, again, and this one is probably going to go more for someone who's already doing coaching but feel like they really don't have the solid foundation yet. This one is going to be good for you because there's a quote and it goes like, new activities breeds new talent. Okay, new activities breeds new talent. And what that just means is the more you stay in action, you start to figure out what you're really good at, right? So if you went through all four, you looked at results, you didn't have any. You asked people around you, no one can tell you anything. You listen to your inner voice, you ain't heard nothing, right? You try to tap into your growth zone and it's just not tapping. You just don't know. If you've done all of that, then the last thing is really stay in action. Because again, for me, I didn't just know what my genius was. Okay, if you know anything about my history, I lost my hair salon back in 2012, and I came back online after really being devastated and losing everything and starting all over. And the only thing I had was my experience of being a business owner. Yes, I do have a college degree, and I've had other experiences through work. But in terms of what I teach, in terms of like what I'm teaching right now, all I really had was my experiences of owning other businesses, right? So when I came online, I started there. I started sharing my stories, my experiences, the lessons I've learned, my advice that I can give from those experiences. And I kept going, I kept learning, and I kept growing, and I kept evolving. And that's how I found my genius, okay? So stay in action because new activities breed new talents. Okay. All right. Let's recap one more time. If you guys are just joining on Facebook, okay, by the way, our show airs 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday, right on Facebook at The Birthing Experience Show. Okay. You can also see us on Facebook Watch. Listen, if you just came, share this out with your followers as well as drop your name below so I can say hello to you. If you are returning, again, drop your name below so I can come back and say hello to you. And if you're listening to us on our podcast network, thank you so much for being a listener. Make sure you leave a comment and subscribe to our show, okay? So let's recap one more time. We're talking about 5 ways to discover your genius. And the reason why we're talking about this is because step 1 in becoming a coach and starting your coaching business or fixing the leaks that's in your foundation of your coaching business is really finding that specialty, that genius zone of yours, okay? So we're starting there with this series that I'm getting ready to kick off, right? So number 1, start with your results, okay? Where have you seen results? When you figure that out, what are the steps that you took to get those results, okay? Write it down, and please feel free to come back to our show page and leave your comments. Let us know what you came up with, okay? The second step is asking people around you, right? So, your parents, your family, your friends, your colleagues, school friends, whatever, ask them because they know things that, and they see things in you that you've yet to realize, okay? And number 3 is follow your heart, follow that inner voice because a lot of times, it's in us and we're talking ourselves out of it, right? And you want to follow your heart. So if your heart is telling you to open up a food truck, man, open up a food truck, right? But really follow your heart here. All right. Number 4, going into your growth zone and really tapping into that place where you're going to stretch yourself. Okay. And getting out of that comfort zone because the truth is that the coaches that challenge themselves beyond their comfort zones are the ones that experience true growth. And I can attest to that. Okay. Because with everything that I've done, I am always stretching myself. And there are always big rewards. And although there are fears that I feel and doubt that I feel just like normal people, I've always been able to push through that and just just go for it. And that is the type of attitude you want to develop here, okay? Because you've got to be stretching yourself. And a lot of times you'll find your genius zone right outside that circle that you're keeping yourself in. Okay. And then the last one is stay in action. Right? And why? Because new activities breed new talent. So the more you stay in action, is the more you are going to realize what you're really good at. And that's because you're doing it. I want you guys to really think about this. If you are inactive and you're not taking action, then, you know, there's no way for you to even see what works, what doesn't work, what's good, what's not, right? Because you're inactive. Okay, so this is really important, all right? So this has been 5 ways to discover your genius. I really hope that we have helped you. If you have any questions, definitely leave it below. You can leave it on our show page on Facebook or in our podcast networks. My name is Nyala Phillip, the Master Midwife for Coaches, and this has been the birthing experience, where we help coaches birth their mastery. Thank you so much for joining, guys. And let me tell you, if you love what you've heard and this has been helpful, definitely share this out and make sure you stay locked in for next week's episode. Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be interviewing my first male guest on the show, and I cannot wait, because let me tell you something, guys, ladies. Let me tell you something. We are not the only ones who have push stories. Our men push it through every day, growing their legacies, taking care of their families, creating experiences. So we're going to be talking to our men as well. And I cannot wait to introduce my next guest for next week. So make sure you guys stay locked in. See you soon.